crazy Karen crashed into my car, then blamed me. You won't believe what happened next. It was just another regular day, until it wasn't. I had parked my car, a Kia K5, right outside a convenience store to grab a drink. Nothing special, just a quick stop before heading home. My car was in perfect condition, parked properly in a legal spot. I wasn't blocking anyone, wasn't doing anything wrong. But then, out of nowhere, collision, bam! Collision. I heard a loud crash, followed by the sound of scraping metal. My heart skipped a beat. I turned around, and my jaw dropped. A Dodge Challenger, a big, aggressive-looking muscle car, had slammed into the side of my Kia. I watched as the driver's door swung open, and out stepped an old lady. But not just any old lady, a full-blown Karen. Old woman the Karen starter pack. Heavy checkmark short, permed hair. Heavy checkmark oversized sunglasses, even though it was cloudy. Heavy checkmark a scowl that could curdle milk. Heavy checkmark the entitlement of a queen ruling over her kingdom. She stormed toward me, pointing her finger like I was the one at fault. "Excuse me. Look what you did to my car," she shrieked, her voice dripping with attitude. I blinked. What I did, I looked at my poor Kia. Huge dent, scratch paint, my side mirror hanging on for dear life. Then I looked at her Challenger. Barely a scratch on it, but she was acting like I had backed into her at 100 miles per hour. I took a deep breath. "Stay calm. Don't lose your temper." "Ma'am, I was parked. You hit me." Her eyes narrowed. "Well, you shouldn't have been parked there. Your car was in my way." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My car was literally in a parking spot, a legal parking spot. I gestured around. There were at least 5 empty spots next to mine. She had plenty of space, but she chose to park like she was in a Fast and Furious movie. Then, things got even crazier. She folded her arms and said, "I don't have time for this. Just let it go." Let it go. She just wrecked my car and wanted me to act like nothing happened. I pulled out my phone and started recording. That's when everything changed. The moment she saw the camera, her attitude did a full 180. "Oh, you don't need to do that, sweetie," she suddenly said in a fake sweet voice. "It was just a tiny bump. No need to make a big deal." A tiny bump? My car looked like it got body slammed by a WWE wrestler. I stayed calm. "Ma'am, we need to exchange insurance information." She huffed. "I don't have my insurance card with me." Triangular flag, red flag alert. Triangular flag. I wasn't about to let her get away with this. So I pointed up at the security camera on the store's wall and said, "Well, that camera caught everything, so I guess I'll just call the police and let them handle it." The moment I said police, her whole body stiffened. "Wait, no need for that. We can work something out," she said, suddenly nervous. "You mean like you paying for the damage?" She clenched her jaw. I could tell she hated that idea. Too bad. I stepped aside and dialed 911. As soon as I started talking to the dispatcher, she lost it. "Ugh, you're such a snowflake. Calling the cops over something so small." Small? Her car had practically body-checked mine. While we waited for the officers, Karen started pacing and mumbling to herself. She kept looking at me like she was plotting something. And sure enough, a few minutes later, she walked up and said, "Fine, whatever, I'll pay for it. But you better not make a big deal about this. In writing, please." I wasn't about to fall for her tricks. She could promise to pay now and ghost me later. I asked her to text me her insurance info and let me take a photo of her license plate. She groaned, but eventually gave in. Oncoming police car. Then the police arrived. Oncoming police car. One officer took a look at the security footage. Another examined both cars. Then they came back with their verdict. Karen was 100% at fault. Her face turned red. You could practically see the steam coming out of her ears. She had no excuse left. "Ma'am," the officer said, "you need to cooperate. You hit his car. You're responsible for the damage." Karen scoffed, waved her hand, and muttered something about me being too sensitive. But at this point, she had no choice. She had to hand over her insurance info officially. And guess what? Turns out she had a history of reckless driving. This wasn't even her first accident. The officer gave her a citation, and she stomped back to her Challenger, fuming. But before she left, she rolled down her window and spat out one last classic Karen line. "You will be hearing from my lawyer." Faced with tears of joy, "Oh, sure, lady, whatever you say." The aftermath. A few weeks later, her insurance fully covered the repairs. I got my Kia back, good as new. But you know what the best part was? A few days after the crash, I went back to the convenience store. The cashier recognized me and said, "Hey, you know that lady? She came in screaming about you the next day." Apparently, she threw a whole tantrum about how I ruined her life just because I made her take responsibility for her own actions. Moral of the story? Always have a camera ready. Security footage is your best friend. And never let a wild Karen get away with nonsense. Because trust me, if they can blame you for their mistakes, they absolutely will.